Hey friend, welcome to new Spoken Lithuanian video. It's been a while. I've been working on some other projects, but I decided to make a video about 12 absolutely necessary Lithuanian phrases because, I was just creating some materials for the courses, for the lessons, and I've noticed that, some of the sentences, some of the phrases may be more necessary than the others. And there are some that, you should know how to say when you're woken up in the middle of the night. And this is what we're going to talk about today, about these specific phrases, specific, sentences that you can use in everyday language. And I want you to notice how much of them you know. Do you think it's too easy? It's too whether it's too hard? Maybe I need to create something, more expansive like that. By the way, if you want more phrases than 12, I have a specific PDF and audiobook you can find in the pinned comment in the description. Let's move right now to the first phrase in our list. Like I have a expansive list over here. So first of all, the most important one is how would you say hello to somebody if you just met them? Like you see them for the first time, how do you say hello? So there are a couple of ways you can do that. You could say labas, of course, right? You could say labas. You could say laba diena. So labas you would say to somebody who would, you're at least on a first name basis. You're using the tu version instead of use. Laba diena is a more formal one. So you would want to be a little bit careful maybe. But, to foreigners, Lithuanians are a bit more forgiving when it comes to going to that personal tu version. So labas, laba diena. The other one that's very safe, and I use it often, is sveiki. Basically what you're saying healthy but in plural, right? So it's like I tend to use it a lot when I talk to clients, to students, to whomever, unless it's really a person I know, then I say labas, but I just say sveiki. Sometimes we even just say hi, like in the English language. Hi. You can say that as well. And another thing you would like to add, if it's a new person, you would say malonu susipažinti. Malonu susipažinti. So it's nice to get to know you. It's nice to get to know each other. That's basically what you're saying. Labas, laba diena, sveiki, malonu susipažinti. A good phrase to know, basically to introduce yourself. Well, you're not introducing, rather you're just saying hello. But this is the way you do it. Okay. How would you ask somebody what their name is? How would you do that? Maybe you know. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think it out. So you would say, koks tavo vardas? Or, again, you may ask jūsų, as in plural. Koks jūsų vardas? Of course, the vardas is just one, but it's the you that you are using in plural. Koks jūsų vardas? And if somebody asks your name, you just simply say aš. And in my case, I would just say aš Edgaras. You could say esu if you wanted to. You can omit it if you want. In present tense, we can omit the verb to be in affirmative in sentences and in questions. So you can say either aš Edgaras or aš esu Edgaras. Both of these work, definitely. Okay, so now we have two phrases already. The next one is how would you ask or answer where you're from? How would you answer where you're from and ask another person where are they from? So you would say iš kur tu esi, or you would say aš iš, for example, Klaipėdos. I would say Klaipėdos. Aš iš Klaipėdos. I am from Klaipėda, right? You use a different case. Iš ko, use that place in genitive. But if you said Klaipėda in nominative case, you would still be understood. It would be okay. Just aš iš, right? Or rather, aš esu iš. Again, esi, you can omit it over here as well because it's a question. So these are, in parentheses because they can be omitted. Iš kur tu esi? Aš esu iš Klaipėdos. Or iš kur tu? Aš iš Klaipėdos. Good. So now we know how to say hello, we know how to introduce ourselves, we know how to ask and say where you're from. Let's go to the next one. How would you ask somebody what do they do as in work, right? There are a couple of ways you can do that in Lithuanian language. None of them work as in English. You can't say, what do you do? Because in Lithuanian language, we don't have a difference between simple and continuous tense. So it would be the same as asking, what are you doing? And that in no way translates to asking about, occupation. So basically, you're asking, ką tu veiki gyvenime, one of the ways, ką tu veiki, or kuo tu dirbi. So I'll unpack this a little bit. So what you're asking here, ką tu veiki gyvenime, you're asking, what do you do in life, right? You're emphasizing in life. Therefore, you're just making sure you're asking not what you're doing right now, but in life. And then, kuo tu dirbi. Kuo tu dirbi is basically who you work as. Who you work as. Both of these work. Both of these are okay. And of course, you can answer either aš esu, or then you would use aš dirbu, but then you have to use a different case over here. For example, mokytoju. I would say aš esu mokytojas. Mokytojas, right? Aš esu mokytojas, but aš dirbu mokytoju. Kuo? Use instrumental case over here. Right? But if you say aš esu mokytojas, this one is nominative, right? Okay, so now we know about occupation as well. Another very important phrase in any language probably is aš nesuprantu. Aš nesuprantu, which is basically I don't understand, right? I don't understand. Aš nesuprantu. I don't understand. I don't know if there's anything else to explain here. Just a phrase useful to know in any language, particularly in Lithuanian, because if you don't understand something, we will try to explain to you it in a different way. Also, another good phrase is ką tai reiškia, right? What does it mean? What does it mean? Ką tai reiškia? So basically, again, you could say ką reiškia, and then use the word you don't know, right? So maybe you understood the biggest part of the sentence, but for example, you don't know what specific word means. And say, ką reiškia obolys? And someone will say, an apple. Oh, an apple. Okay. Yeah. Ką tai reiškia? What does it mean? Or ką reiškia? And you use something that you don't know. Okay, let's move on. Number 7. How would you say, I think that, or in my opinion? There are a couple of ways, again, to say that your opinion is of that. How would you do that in Lithuanian? Maybe take a couple of seconds to think this one out. Okay, if you have to press pause, what would you say? So you could say man atrodo kad. So it seems to me that. You could say aš galvoju kad. I think that. In my opinion, would be mano nuomone. Mano nuomone. So this one is instrumental. Nuomone is an opinion, but mano kuo nuomone, you have it in instrumental. You're basically saying with my opinion. Okay? Or rather, it's closer to like by my opinion or with my opinion if you had to make a direct translation, not like in location in my opinion. That's not locative case that's used over here in Lithuanian. Okay, so man atrodo kad, aš galvoju kad, mano nuomone, and then you just continue what you wanted to say. Of course, you have to have some skills, to do that, but still, it's just a good way to start expressing your opinion, right? If you wanted to ask somebody what they are going to do today, like for example, you want to offer them to do something, maybe they're a guest of yours, and you're asking, what will you do this evening, right? Maybe just today. What will you do today? What are you doing today? How would you ask that in Lithuanian language? So that would be ką veiksi šiandien, right? Ką veiksi šiandien. That's a good way to ask. Ką veiksi šiandien. Another thing that we do, because veiksi is in future tense, right? Like in English language, when you could say like, what will you do today? Or what are you doing today? You can do the same thing in Lithuanian language. And instead of veiksi, you can say ką veiki šiandien. Of course, both of these can be in plural if you want to address it formally, as in use. That would be veiksite or veikiate. Okay, so those would be plural. Ką veiksi or veiksite, or ką veiki, ką veikite šiandien. And then the person will give their itinerary, their schedule. They will tell you what they're going to do. Okay, another good phrase to have is how much does it cost, or how much is it? How would you ask that? Kiek tai kainuoja? Or just simply kiek kainuoja. You can point at something and say kiek kainuoja. You don't even have to say it, that. This word for this, that, it. You don't even have to use it. Kiek kainuoja, just simply. Kiek tai kainuoja. That's it. That works. That's enough, right? Because kainuoti, basically, it's like to cost. To cost. Kiek kainuoja. Kiek tai kainuoja, kiek kainuoja. You can even ask kokia kaina. Kokia kaina, what is the price? Kokia kaina as well works, right? Kokia kaina. Very good. Let's move on. Now, if you wanted to order something at a restaurant, for example, a waiter or waitress comes to you and you want to say, I would like this, or I want this, I want that, how would you make that order? Well, what words would you use in Lithuanian language? There are not even 1, 2, or 3 ways to do that, but there are a couple ones that are very common and very, normal and commonly used. So, what would you say? You could say norėčiau kavos, ko in genitive. Norėčiau kavos, right? Then you use basically I would like, I would want, right? Norėčiau kavos. One way to use it. Or you could say aš imsiu, I will take, right? Especially if you're ordering food. Aš imsiu, or you can even say imu, I'm taking. Let's say vištienos kepsnį, right? A chicken steak, right? You can do that. Norėčiau kavos, or aš imsiu, imu, if in present tense, vištienos kepsnį. Both of these are perfectly well to use, and it would definitely be understood. Of course, you can just point at something and just say this, But again, we're moving into the territory when you don't even have to talk then. So we have to say something at least. So this is what we're looking for. Another very, very, very important question. Kur yra tualetas? Kur yra tualetas? Where's the bathroom? Where's the toilet? Right? Of course, you can add anything after kur yra, right? Kur yra. Kur yra. Where is? And then you add the thing that you want to know where it is. If you want to be a little bit more polite, you could say kur galėčiau rasti. You see that norėčiau, I would want. Galėčiau, I could. I would be able to, basically. I could. Kur galėčiau rasti? Where could I find rasti, to find? Where could I find this and that? Where could I find a toilet? Where could I find a good restaurant? Where could I find the station? Or where could I find whatever comes to mind, right? This is just a good way to ask. Either kur yra, for example, toiletas, right? Or kur galėčiau rasti. And the last one, I think, also very important in any language, is just you have to be able to say thank you. How would you say that? How would you say thank you? Maybe a couple more than one ways to say thank you. So of course the biggest one is ačiū, right? That's the only word in Lithuanian language where at the end you can have not the nasal u, but the one with the dash. Ulgoji, right? Ačiū. Just simply ačiū is enough. Dėkoju, another one. Like I'm thankful. Right? Dėkoju, another way to say thank you. Dėkoju. And after both of these, you could say, like, for example, ačiū, right? Ačiū, dėkoju jums labai. I'm very thankful to you, right? Dėkoju jums labai. Ačiū jums labai, right? If it's a person that you know, instead of jums, tau, but you're saying to whom, kam, naudininko, so basically dative case, right? I'm thankful to you, thanks to you, right? Ačiū jums labai, dėkoju jums labai. Basically, dėkoju is not I'm thankful. I'm thankful be aš esu dėkingas. Dėkoju means I'm doing the action of thanking, basically you're saying. I'm doing the action of thanking, dėkoju, right? Okay, so these are the phrases. I would say like these are the most important ones that you have to know. If you feel that this is something that you haven't yet grasped, work on these first. And then, as I said, I have a PDF and audiobook you can find in the description and in the pinned comment. Just download it. It's my gift to you. It's a free gift. And I will see you in future lessons. You should shoot me a comment whether or not you think something like this is useful. How many phrases did you actually know? And maybe you know some other phrases that you need to know, but you're not able to use them in Lithuanian, so that I can help you with that in another video. Okay? So I will see you in future videos. Bye.